Hello viewers, it's good to see you again in our daily bulletin, and following are the headlines. French President François Hollande pays state visit to Vietnam. The 28th and 29th ASEAN Summits and related meetings open in Laos. Music video arouses public pride of homeland. French President François Hollande is paying a state visit to Vietnam at the invitation of President Trần Đại Quang. An official welcome ceremony for the French leader was held at the Presidential Palace in Hanoi in the morning of September 6th.
Mr. François Hollande is the third president of France to visit Vietnam, following the trips of President François Mitterrand in 1993 and President Jacques Chirac in 1997 and 2004. Following the welcome ceremony, President Quang held talks with his French counterpart Hollande. The two leaders emphasized that economic partnership remains a priority in bilateral ties, and the countries need to promote cooperation in key projects in infrastructure, energy, aviation, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, the environment, agriculture, and food processing. Vietnam and France will reinforce defense cooperation, especially through military equipment procurement and mutual visits by naval ships. France will have Vietnam in the UN peacekeeping operations and work with Vietnam to address traditional and non-traditional security issues. The two presidents clarified the importance of maintaining peace and stability and promoting regional and international cooperation. They reiterated the commitment to ensuring free navigation and aviation, stressing the peaceful settlement of easy disputes through diplomatic and legal processes and with respect to international law, including the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. They underlined the importance of fully implementing the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the AC while supporting efforts to reach a code of conduct in the waters. At the end of the talks, the two leaders witnessed the signing and exchange of many documents and cooperation agreements between two governments, ministries, agencies, and businesses.
Also on September 6th, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng hosted a reception for French President François Hollande. General Secretary Sept affirmed that Vietnam always prioritizes developing friendly and cooperative relations with France and urged the two sides to accelerate multifaceted cooperation, share experience, and support each other at international forums. The party leader suggested France further promote bilateral ties in the fields in which the two nations hold great potentials, such as economy, trade, investment, technology transfer, agriculture, climate change adaptation, culture, and education. President Hollande said France and Vietnam still possess potentials for strong cooperation. He also mentioned the current international security challenges and voiced his support of freedom of navigation and aviation and settlement of marine disputes through peaceful measures on the basis of international law. Also, in the morning of September 6th, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc had a meeting with French President François Hollande, during which he stated that the Vietnamese government will continue efforts to foster partnership with France in all fields and make the bilateral ties deeper and more effective. Prime Minister Phúc suggested the two countries bolster their cooperation in trade and investment towards the goal of doubling two-way trade turnover from the modest figure of $4.2 billion in 2015. He proposed France support ASEAN's stand on ensuring peace, stability, security, and maritime and aviation safety and freedom in the East Sea, as well as the settlement of EC issues through peaceful measures in line with international law and the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, 1982. For his part, President Hollande affirmed that France wants to further beef up cooperation with Vietnam in all fields, especially in politics, economy, trade, investment, as well as climate change and sea level rise response. While stressing that France always prioritizes its economic partnership with Vietnam, he requested that the country to create favorable conditions for French investors. The president also underscored that France will continue assisting Vietnam in the fields of its demand, including coping with climate change and sea level rise and environmental protection.
Later on the same day, National Assembly Chairwoman Nguyễn Thị Kim Ngân met with French President François Hollande. While speaking highly of France's policy of stepping up economic cooperation with Vietnam, as well as its position as Vietnam's leading bilateral donor, Ngân suggested France continue assisting Vietnam in sustainable development. Having held France's pioneer role in the international fight against climate change and sea level rise, the legislative leaders thanked France for its assistance in mapping out climate change adaptation strategy. President Hollande said France always wants to further promote cooperative ties with Vietnam. He affirmed that in the coming time, France will focus on such cooperation fields as response to climate change, information technology, smart city development, and legislation.
The 28th and 29th ASEAN summits opened in Vientiane, Laos on September 6th afternoon with the theme Turning Vision into Reality for a Dynamic ASEAN Community. Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc joined other ASEAN leaders in the opening ceremony.
In his opening speech, Lao Prime Minister and Chair of ASEAN 2016 Thongloun Sisoulith welcomed leaders of ASEAN member nations and delegates to the 20th and 29th ASEAN summits and related meetings. Prime Minister Sisoulith believed that the 20th and 29th ASEAN summits and related meetings will take place in a frank, comprehensive and constructive spirit in a bid to effectively implement the Vision 2025, enhance cooperation with partners through mechanisms, and promote the grouping's central role. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Laos State President Bunyang Volachit highlighted the achievements ASEAN has obtained over the past 5 decades, especially the establishment of the ASEAN Community on December 31st, 2015. The President also emphasized the importance of stepping up cooperation within the bloc and between ASEAN nations and their outside partners. At the opening ceremony, heads of delegation and delegates attended a ceremony to launch a joint tourism program under the theme Visit ASEAN at 50. Afterwards, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc and other ASEAN leaders attended the plenary session of the 20th ASEAN Summit and forums between ASEAN leaders and representatives of the ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly, ASEAN Youth, and members of the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. Earlier, upon his arrival in Vientiane, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc met with his Lao counterpart Thongloun Sisoulith, who is also chair of the 20th and 29th ASEAN summits and related meetings. Prime Minister Phúc affirmed that Vietnam supports Laos in successfully accomplishing its ASEAN chairmanship. Prime Minister Sisoulith thanked and appreciated Vietnam's effective cooperation, asserting that Laos could coordinate closely with Vietnam, ASEAN member nations, and partner countries at the summits and meetings so as to maintain the unity within the bloc. The two leaders also agreed to step up measures to enhance the bilateral cooperation, especially in economy, trade, and investment. Later on the same day, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc also met with Filipino President Rodrigo Duterte. During their first ever meeting, the two leaders affirmed to boost the Vietnam-Philippines strategic partnership. They also expressed their pleasure at the strong development of the bilateral relations in various fields. Two sides stressed the importance of maintaining peace, security, and boosting cooperation in the East Sea, settling disputes through peaceful measures in accordance with international law and the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, 1982. They agree to continue to support each other when Vietnam hosts the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum and Philippines chairs ASEAN in 2017.
A fall in tea export value is putting pressure on the tea industry to enhance product quality to raise the value and price of tea products. More in the following report.
The Vietnam Industry and Trade Information Center reported that Vietnam is the fifth largest tea exporter in the world, but the country's tea export value is still modest, since the price of Vietnamese tea is equivalent to only 60 or 70% of world tea prices. In particular, in the first 7 months of this year, the Vietnamese tea price dropped 6.6% to $1,160 per ton. Statistics also showed that although tea exports increased nearly 5% in volume to touch 69,000 tons, its export value dropped over 2% in the first 7 months of the year, compared with the same period last year. Experts attributed the drop in tea export prices to low product quality, which made Vietnamese tea prices down. To improve the situation, attention must be paid to developing tea cultivation, especially improving tea quality and ensuring food hygiene standards. Meanwhile, the government and enterprises should attach importance to the application of scientific and technological achievements to production and processing of tea products. It's also necessary to develop a Vietnamese tea brand together with the organization of trade promotion activities, also indispensable for boosting tea exports. Vietnam has for a long time been known as one of the cradles of the global tea industry. By August 2015, the planted area of the whole country had reached 140,000 hectares, and the dry tea output 180,000 or 190,000 tons, of which 75 or 80% were exported. Vietnamese tea has found its way to more than 110 countries and territories. The main export earners include black tea, green tea, lotus fragrant tea, oolong tea, and jasmine tea, which are mainly exported to Taiwan, China, the United States, Pakistan, Indonesia, and Malaysia.
Music video Vietnam quê hương tôi, Vietnam My Homeland, initiated and directed by singer Minh Quân, have been released with the participation of hundreds of Vietnamese artists and people from all walks of life. Join us to have a closer look at this video.
With beautiful footages about the land and people of Vietnam, the video has become an internet sensation since it was released on Vietnam's National Day, which fell on September 2nd.
Bạn ơi hãy đến quê hương chúng tôi.
Endless fields, clear blue sea, imposing waterfall, and peaceful grasses. The video has captured Vietnam's landscapes across the country. Well-known singers such as Thanh Hoa, Mỹ Linh, Trọng Tấn, Hồ Ngọc Hà, Đàm Vĩnh Hưng, and artists Xuân Bắc, Tự Long, Diễm Quỳnh, Anh Tuấn, Phan Anh all joined the music video.
Bừng lên sáng ngời.
Miền Nam đất nước quê hương chúng tôi có rừng dừa xanh.
Wearing t-shirts with the national flag on them, singers, actors, athletes, veterans, elderly people, and students are harmonizing their voices. The music video will be uploaded on websites of Vietnamese embassies across the globe to introduce the country to international friends.
And that has come to the end of our program. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.